This was me 3 years ago. I had goals, but I was lazy, inconsistent, and unaware. And when I think back to it, there were only three key areas, discipline not being one of them, that allowed me to actually stick to my goals. So, in this video, I'm going to share these three areas so that you can beat procrastination, be consistent, and reach your goals. Hi, my name is Fasi, and I'm a certified expert coach. And if you're looking for professional help with reaching your goals, book a free strategy session with me where we'll go in much more detail in your specific situation with the exact steps to help you with it. Let's start with why most timetables fail miserably. Around 2 years ago, I made this instinctive decision of not picking up and using my phone until the midday. I guess my rationale was to get important shit done first. And now here's what my morning looks like. So I wake up, I freshen up, I do some visualization, I go down, get some sun, do my workout, come back home, I have my breakfast, I sit for 4 hours of deep work, and then and only then after that I pick up my phone and check for any missed calls or important messages. These days, I've gotten a bit more radical and I don't even check my WhatsApp till it's night time. But I've realized that this instinctive decision was one of the best things that I could have done for sticking to my goals in the long run. Let me explain. So, your mind lives in comparison. Let me ask you this. Do you run fast? Now, your answer might be yes or no. If you think you run fast, let me ask you this. Do you run fast as compared to a cheetah or Usain Bolt? And if you think you run slow, let me ask you this. Do you run slow as compared to a tortoise? Now, your mind most probably changed the answer when I brought comparison in. That's the same case when you give your mind two options, like reading a book or scrolling. Your mind looks at both of those options and calls reading the book boring because it has a better alternative to go to. But you can harness this tendency of the mind of comparing different things to your advantage. Concretely, here's what it looks like. So there's this new way of organizing your schedule or your day, which I instinctively followed 2 years ago, which is called dopamine loading. It's nothing but a fancy word of scheduling your day such that you do the difficult things first, the painful, the effortful things first, and then keeping the pleasurable, the enjoyable, the fun bits, the fun activities to the end of the day. So here's what you can do. Make a list of everything that you need to do and everything that you want to do in a day. And then organize your day in such a way that you start the day with the most difficult tasks and then it progressively gets less difficult and more enjoyable. If you don't give your brain the fun activities first, it starts to see the difficult shit as fun or maybe as less difficult. And if you start your day like this, doing the difficult stuff, it becomes easy to get those difficult tasks done and you get done with it early on in your day. Now, this combines beautifully with shadow motivation, which I'll get to in the end. Now, let's look at why Atomic Habits failed us all. Imagine that you have to read this book in just a week, this entire book, because you have an exam or something. And it's a boring fucking book, trust me. Now, I come to you and I tell you, don't care about reading the entire book, don't think about the entire book, which is a good advice, by the way. Instead, just read one line. Now, you look at this book, you look at the 1,000 pages it has, and you'll think, fucking hell, reading a line won't make a difference. And more often than not, you'll not even start. But how about I come to you and I ask you, don't think about reading the entire book. Don't even think about reading just one line. Instead, how much can you read right now? This question, how much can you do right now, is part of a process called motivational interviewing. And here's how I've started to apply this in my own life concretely. Let's say I want to go work out, but I don't feel like it. So instead of thinking of my entire 1 hour workout and pumping iron, what I'll do instead is I'll ask myself this question: how much can I do? Earlier, what I used to do was I used to ask myself, can you do one push? Can you go down in the gym and do one push up? and that used to work better than thinking about the entire workout. But now what I do is I ask myself this question, and the answer is always more than just one push-up. So let's say the answer that comes up for me is I can do one set of bench press. Now, when I look at that one set of bench press, I feel more motivated to do that because I can compare the bench press and the push up, and the bench press will actually contribute to building my chest or building my muscles. As opposed to if I just look at the push up, it's easy, but I don't feel motivated to do it because there will be no outcome out of it. So, whenever you're faced with procrastination and you don't feel like doing some task or not even starting, instead of aiming for just the 2 minutes or just the bare minimum, one page, one line, one push up, 2 minutes of walk, ask yourself this question: how much can I do right now? And you'll be surprised by how often the answer is more than what you expected. By the way, if this is resonating so far, and if you want to apply all of this in your life specifically, schedule that free strategy session and we'll have a chat. Finally, here's how I learned to hack my psyche and enjoy hard work. I'm currently reading this book, and the basic premise of this book is that you have different parts within yourself, and these parts have separate needs, wants, desires, and even an individual personality. Now, this resonated with me a lot, and it's extremely helpful to restore wholeness, heal trauma. But what I've started doing is I've started using these needs, wants, and desires for shadow motivation. And it's pretty simple, so you can do it too. Let's say that you have 5 parts, and these 5 parts have certain non negotiable needs. They have such needs that have to be met at any cost whatsoever. Let's say part A has this need for intimacy. And every time you feel this need for intimacy, instead of sharing it with a beautiful real person, you go off in your bathroom and you jack off to porn. And this need for intimacy is met to a good extent, and it's pacified and it goes away. So you keep repeating this behavior to meet that need for intimacy. Instead, what you can do is you can remove these cheap substitutes and channel that energy, channel that non-negotiable needs towards your goals. Let me give you an example. So let's suppose I want to attract a beautiful girl so that I can meet this need for intimacy. But what I keep doing day in and day out is watching porn and jacking off. And this habit of watching porn and jacking off meets my need for intimacy to a good extent. So I have no motivation to go find a girl. What I can do instead is I can suppress this urge to watch porn and jack off. I'm usually against suppression and force, but it works with shadow motivation. So I can suppress that urge and remove all of the cheap substitutes that might give me that might fulfill my need for intimacy. So I'll remove Tinder, Bumble, all of the dating apps, maybe even Instagram. And when I feel this need for intimacy, now that I have no cheap substitutes available, what I'll have to do is have to go out, socialize, meet people, and find that person with whom I can be intimate and fulfill that need for intimacy, which, remember, is a non-negotiable need. So your mind, your body will do anything and everything to fulfill that need, no matter how much effort it takes, if you just remove those cheap fucking substitutes. And I believe that is one of the reasons why NoFap and semen retention is so effective, because when boys stop jacking off, they have so many of their needs being unmet that they just change their life altogether. They take so much action to get those needs met, and because of that, their life changes. So the formula for shadow motivation is this: suppress and redirect. Suppress the cheap substitute and redirect those needs that come from within. Take some time, introspect, and make a list of all the deep core needs that you have and all the cheap substitutes you're using to meet them. Some of the common ones are need for intimacy, need for approval, status, achievement, need for play, need for freedom, need for control, need for dominance, etc. And once you've removed these cheap substitutes, Just redirect that need towards your goals, and your motivation towards them will just go through the roof. Now, if you're ready to apply all of this in your life specifically, book that strategy call. You'll get a lot of value from it for free. Do it right now because there's only 3 spots left for the month of June, and I'll see you there. There are 4 subtle habits that you might be doing that destroy your discipline, even if you do the above 3 steps. So, if you want to eliminate these and become more disciplined, you can click here.